The last time I was here, I spoke about going from gang member to activist. Today, I'll detail some of the ways in which I am privileged to have not only made that transition, but to stand here in front of you today. Privilege number 1, I'm white. Number 2, I'm male. Number 3, I had access to a good education. 4, I have a loving and forgiving family. 5, I was born into one of the wealthiest countries in the world. 6, I'm able-bodied. And number 7, I'm human. This last bit alone already makes me more privileged than trillions of individuals who by no fault of their own have to live in fear, who suffer from constant violence and discrimination, just by virtue of existing on planet Earth. I am incredibly privileged, and I recognize that my privilege is something that is totally, utterly, completely undeserved. I was born into it. Sheer dumb luck. The Earth has existed long before and will exist long after humans' destructive reign. But I am living at this exact moment in time, at a time when the dominating species on this planet happens to be humans. If you ever count yourself as having bad luck because you don't win a raffle or a lottery, know that you've already won the biggest lottery here on Earth. It's yet another tremendous privilege to be able to present for this revolution, to witness the daily victories that will affect millions of lives. We're living in a time when one clothing brand after another is dropping fabric made of animals' skins and hair. Prada just dropped fur. New York City is considering banning its sale altogether. If you haven't called your council member, please do, guys. We're living in a time when many of us don't know what it's like to not have vegan options for everything. Yet this doesn't necessarily mean that we have a better understanding of other animals or see them as people, as individuals. I think this is the most difficult, perhaps, when it comes to those animals most different from us. The mice, the birds, the fishes, and especially the bugs. There has been much praise as of late for the Impossible Burger, but few are talking about the 188 mice who were needlessly killed for its success, and the fact that the company still hasn't committed to not experimenting on and killing more. Fowl, ducks, chickens, and turkeys make up approximately 95% of land animals killed by agribusinesses every year. However, they're usually the last to be considered when it comes to going vegan. How often have we heard, I only eat chicken, or I'm vegetarian, but I only eat local eggs, without an understanding of how hens have been bred to lay so often that they cannot sustain themselves, or that baby boys are typically slaughtered at a day old simply because it's not a privilege to be born male in the egg industry. Trillions of fishes are killed for food every year as well. Not millions, not billions, but trillions. And that's not counting the animals abducted from their homes or bred into tiny tanks for the pet or aquarium industries. Sequest, a sordid aquarium chain that we just stopped from expanding to Long Island, is rapidly developing around the country, while betas languish in cramped, filthy cups at Petco's throughout the continent. And lastly, bugs, my first love. For a species that prides itself on being the only one that possesses rationality, humans are outsmarted all the time by tiny ants and spiders and bees. Those whom we consider to be the most primary forms of life and of sentience. That is, if we're generous enough to acknowledge their sentience at all. Those whose existence we deem insignificant, even a nuisance. How many of us still kill mosquitoes just trying to get a meal so we don't itch for a couple minutes of a day? Insects are the most abundant animals on planet Earth. They outweigh all the fish in the oceans and all the farmed animals munching on grass on land. But researchers have suggested that as much as 40% of all insect species may be endangered over the next several decades. and around 41% of all insect species on record have seen population declines in the past decade. The rate we are killing them is immeasurable. But when was the last time any of us protested their extermination? Everyone here is an activist, whether you know it or not yet. But we're all inherently speciesist, myself included. No matter how long we've been in the game, we can always do better, and it's good to remind ourselves of that. If our mission is to reaffirm and defend the personhood of other animals, we have to honor them as individuals and not value one over another simply because that other is less like us. A fish, a chicken, or a bug may not have had the privilege of being born human or even humanoid, but they deserve our advocacy just as much as that dog, cow, pig, or any other. Thank you so much for being a part of this movement. If you'd like to get more active for fowler fish, I encourage you to talk to me at Lion's Table right over there. I also encourage you guys to speak to Karen Davis of United Poultry Concerns, who just spoke right before me. She's right over there. And Mary Finelli, who's still up to speak. So please stick around. There's still a lot more good speakers to come. And before I forget, please remember that while this event is free for us, it takes a lot of money and a lot of time to put on. So please do stop at the table over here, buy yourself a t-shirt, and support our organizers. Thank you very much.